Quiet don't mean stupid. My son looks over at me and says, "The best gift under this tree would be an urn with your ashes in it."
Lord, have mercy.
They put me in the back bedroom. No windows, just 4 walls. If they wanted to play me, I was gonna play them better. They wanted my ashes. I gave them smoke.
Good evening, family. Welcome to No More Silent for the First Time, the place where our sisters don't just tell their stories, they reclaim them. Tonight, Lord, tonight we have a story that's going to make you check on your mama, call your grandmother, and maybe rethink who you trust with your last name. I'm here with Mrs. Dorothy Jenkins, a woman who gave her son $150,000, her home, her trust, and got a joke about wanting her ashes for Christmas. But baby, what they didn't know, she wasn't just somebody's mama. She was a fraud investigator with 30 years in banking. Mrs. Dorothy, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, baby. And let me say this right now. I ain't here for pity. I'm here so every woman watching understands. Age don't mean weak, and quiet don't mean stupid.
Say that again for the people in the back.
Quiet don't mean stupid. See, for 2 months, I lived in my son Aaron's house down in Atlanta, and I watched. I smiled, I cooked breakfast, I took my medicine on time like a good little old lady. But the whole time, I was building a case. The same way I did for 32 years at SunTrust Bank when I was the one catching folks trying to run schemes. Only this time, the thieves were sleeping down the hall from me. But let me back up, because it didn't start with betrayal. It started with a fall. November 10th, I'm standing in my kitchen, my own kitchen, in my own house in East Point, making myself some tea. Next thing I know, I'm on the floor. Small stroke, the doctor said. Minor, controllable. But I hit my face on the counter going down, and my whole cheek was bruised up purple and black. Scared me more than I wanted to admit, you understand? Aaron, my only son, he came rushing over soon as he heard. "Mama, you can't be living alone no more. What if it happens again? What if you fall and can't get up? What if nobody finds you for days?" And I'm sitting there with ice on my face, feeling vulnerable for the first time in years. So I'm thinking maybe he's right. Maybe I can't do this alone no more. He says, "Move in with me and Mandy, just till you get your strength back. We'll renovate the house, make it safe for you. Railings, wider doors, accessible bathroom. You sell your place, get rid of them stairs, and we'll take care of you." And Lord help me, I believed him.
Oh, child, so you actually sold your house?
Sold every bit of it. That house had my whole life in it, you hear me? That's where I raised Aaron after his daddy died. That's where I had my garden, my independence, my peace. But I thought, Dorothy, you getting older. Maybe it's time to let somebody help. House sold for $320,000. I kept some for myself, but Aaron and Mandy started talking about all these renovations they needed to do to make the place senior-friendly. Said they needed $150,000 to do it right. I gave it to them. Temporarily, they said, just until they refinanced. Then Mandy, she got this sweet voice, real sugary, the kind that sounds helpful but got battery acid underneath. She says, "Mrs. Jenkins, to make budgeting easier, why don't we put that money in a joint account? That way we can pay the contractors directly without bothering you for every little thing." And I said yes.
Lord have mercy. So they had access to all your money?
Every single dime. And at first, I told myself it was smart. I told myself, this is your family, Dorothy. This is temporary. Don't be paranoid. But then the little things started happening. Things so small, you think you imagining it at first. Mandy stopped asking what I wanted for dinner. She'd cook for her and Aaron, then bring me a plate, like I was a guest, not family. They'd have her parents over for Sunday dinner, and wouldn't nobody tell me till I heard all the laughing and smelled the food from my room. My room. Let me tell you about that room.
What about the room, Mrs. Dorothy? Where did they put you?
They put me in the back bedroom, no windows, just 4 walls and a little lamp. They said it was safer that way. No drafts from outside, no street noise to disturb my rest, all that foolishness. But really, it was so I wouldn't be seen, so I wouldn't be heard. I'm sleeping in that dark little cave for about 3 weeks when Mandy's mama decides to come visit. Supposed to be just for the weekend, help with decorating for the holidays, she said. Well, that weekend turned into a whole week, and guess where she ended up sleeping? The guest room, the one with the big bay window, the garden view, the morning sunlight, the room they told me was going to be mine when I first moved in. So I asked Mandy about it one morning. Real polite, real calm. I said, "Baby, I thought that was supposed to be my room." And you know what this girl said to me?
What'd she say?
She looked at me, smiled that tight little smile. You know the kind, where the lips go up but the eyes stay cold. And she said, "Well, my mother needs the natural light for her migraines. You don't really need all that sun at your age anyway, do you?"
She said what?
Said it just like that, like I wasn't even human enough to need daylight. I swallowed that disrespect like it was medicine, didn't argue, didn't fuss, just nodded and went back to my dark little room. But that night, sitting on that bed in the dark, staring at the wall, I didn't cry. I didn't pray for patience or try to make excuses for him. I got clear. See, they thought I was just some simple old church lady who used to work at a bank stamping deposit slips. But baby, I wasn't in customer service. I was in fraud prevention, risk management, corporate investigations. For 32 years, I was the woman they called when something didn't add up, when signatures looked funny, when money moved in ways it shouldn't, when people were running schemes and thought they were slick. I caught professionals trying to steal, lawyers, accountants, people with degrees and expensive suits, and now I was living under the same roof as 2 amateurs who thought they could play me? Please.
So when did you know for sure? When did it go from they being disrespectful to they stealing from me?
Christmas week, we all sitting in the living room. They got the tree up. Big, fancy thing, decorated real nice with my money, I'm sure. I'm trying to feel festive, trying to act like everything normal. Aaron's laughing with Mandy about something, and then he looks over at me and says, loud enough for me to hear, like he want me to hear, "Honestly, Ma, the best gift under this tree would be an urn with your ashes in it." Just like that. Like it was a joke. Like it was funny. Mandy didn't even look up from her phone, just kept scrolling through Instagram or whatever, like I wasn't sitting right there, like I wasn't even real. I didn't say nothing. I just took a sip of my tea, smiled a little smile, but inside, something broke. Not loud, not all at once, just a quiet little crack, like when a plate splits but don't fall apart yet. You can still use it, but you know it ain't never gonna be whole again. And right then I knew, if they wanted me gone, if they wanted me dead, I'd disappear, but on my terms.
Oh, Mrs. Dorothy, what did you do that night?
I couldn't sleep. Laid in that dark room staring at the ceiling till about 4 in the morning. Then I got up, got dressed, and I sat in the hallway. Just sat there, staring at the door to the guest room where Mandy's mama was sleeping in the bed that was supposed to be mine. And I made a decision. If they wanted to play me, I was gonna play them better. See, they forgot something real important. I taught classes on financial abuse. I knew every trick, every red flag, every pattern. And once I started looking, I started seeing, and
What did you see, baby?
everything. The way Mandy talked about what we bought for the renovations, like that money was already hers. The way Aaron would mention expenses but never show receipts. I'd ask about the contractors, and he'd get all vague. Don't worry about it, Ma. We handled it. One afternoon, I'm on the couch pretending to nap, and I hear him talking in the kitchen. Low voices, and Mandy says, real quiet, "We need to take advantage of this situation before she loses it completely." Didn't say my name. Didn't have to. That's when I knew for sure. This wasn't just disrespect. This was a plan. So I started my own plan.
Lord, and what was your plan, Mrs. Dorothy?
My plan was simple. Document everything. See, when you work in fraud prevention, you learn real quick that feelings don't hold up in court. Suspicions don't mean nothing to a judge. You need evidence. You need proof. You need a paper trail so clear that even a blind man could follow it. So that's what I started building. I got myself a little notebook, one of them composition books from the dollar store. Started writing down dates, times, conversations. Every time Aaron said something about the renovations, I wrote it down. Every time Mandy mentioned money, I wrote it down. I started taking pictures too. They'd leave receipts on the kitchen counter, and I'd snap a photo with my phone before they could throw them away. Bank statements left out, photographed, documents with my name on them, photographed. I logged into my bank account, the one they thought I'd forgotten about or didn't know how to use. And baby, what I saw made my blood run cold. Transfers, big ones, from my savings account to their checking account. Money I never authorized, money they just took. $8,000 here, $12,000 there, $15,000 for emergency repairs I never saw nobody repairing. I printed everything, every transaction, every transfer, every statement. Then I did something they would have never expected from an old lady who don't know nothing about computers. I opened up a cloud storage account, Google Drive, set it up with two-factor authentication, password protection, the whole 9 yards. And I called that folder North Star.
North Star.
North Star. 'Cause even when you lost in the dark, even when you can't see where you're going, the North Star always tells you which way is true. And I needed truth. I needed direction. I needed to remember who I was before they tried to make me forget. I put everything in that folder. Screenshots, photos, recordings. Oh yes, I started recording conversations on my phone. Nothing illegal, mind you. Georgia's a one-party consent state. Long as I know I'm recording, it's legal. I recorded Aaron telling his friend on the phone, "Man, she don't even know what she's signing anymore. We could probably get her to sign anything." I recorded Mandy on a video call with her sister saying, "Girl, once we get the house refinanced, we won't need her money no more. We can figure out other arrangements." Other arrangements, like I was a problem they needed to solve.
Jesus. So you had all this evidence, but Mrs. Dorothy, you couldn't fight them alone. What did you do next?
I called Sandra DeLeon. We worked together back at SunTrust in the 90s. She was sharp as a tack, started in fraud detection same as me, but she went to law school at night. Got her degree, passed the bar, and now she specializes in elder law, protecting seniors from exactly what was happening to me. We hadn't talked in maybe 5-6 years, but I called her number. Still had it in my old phone book, and when she answered, I just said, "Sandra, this is Dorothy Jenkins. I need help." Didn't even have to explain much. She said, "Meet me tomorrow. Bring everything you got." We met at this little coffee shop in Decatur, out of the way, quiet. I brought a folder with printed bank statements, my notebook, my phone with the recordings. I sat down across from her and I said, Sandra, my son is stealing from me. And you know what she did?
What'd she do?
She didn't look surprised, didn't look shocked. She just looked sad. She said, Dorothy, how much we talking about? I said, so far, about $148,000. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath. Then she opened her laptop right there in that coffee shop and said, show me everything. We sat there for 3 hours. She went through every document, every recording, every transaction. She took notes, made copies, asked me questions I didn't even think to ask myself. Then she looked at me and said, Dorothy, this is textbook elder financial abuse, but here's the good news. You got evidence, real evidence, the kind that holds up in court, the kind that gets people charged.
Charged? Like criminal charges?
Criminal and civil. See, what Aaron and Mandy did wasn't just wrong, it was illegal. Financial exploitation of an elder, fraud, forgery. 'Cause I found documents with my signature on them that I know I never signed. Sandra said we needed to move carefully, quietly. We couldn't let them know what we were doing, or they'd try to cover their tracks. So she brought in a forensic accountant, man named Robert Chen. He specialized in tracing money, finding out where it came from, where it went, who authorized what. Robert took my bank records and went through them line by line. Took him 2 weeks, but when he came back, he had a report. 37 pages, every fraudulent transaction documented, every forged signature highlighted, every lie exposed. Sandra filed complaints with the bank, with Adult Protective Services, with the IRS, because Mandy had been using my money to fund her little wellness coaching business and wasn't reporting it as income. And then we did something else. We waited.
You waited? For what?
For Christmas, baby. They wanted my ashes under that tree. I was going to give them something to unwrap.
Oh, Lord, what was in that box, Mrs. Dorothy?
December 25th. Christmas morning. I woke up early, 5 a.m., like always. Made myself some coffee, sat in that dark little room and just breathed. This was it. The day I'd been planning for 6 weeks. I got dressed, put on my good church dress, the burgundy one with the pearl buttons, did my hair, put on my lipstick. I looked in that little mirror and I said to myself, Dorothy, you about to get your life back. Then I went to the kitchen and made breakfast, pancakes, bacon, eggs, the whole spread, like nothing was different. Aaron came down around 8. Mandy followed about 20 minutes later. They both looked surprised to see me up and cooking. Morning, Ma, Aaron said. You didn't have to do all this. I just smiled. It's Christmas, baby. Family should have a nice breakfast. We ate, made small talk. They opened gifts from each other, expensive stuff, designer bags and watches and electronics. Bought with my money, I'm sure, but I didn't say nothing. Then Mandy looked at me. Mrs. Jenkins, you didn't have to get us anything. You already gave us so much. Oh, the irony. I smiled real sweet and said, oh, but I did get you something. It's in my room. Let me go get it. I walked back to that dark little room, opened my closet, and pulled out a box. Medium-sized, wrapped in red paper with a gold bow. Real pretty. I brought it back to the living room and handed it to Aaron. This is for both of y'all, I said. Open it together. Aaron untied the bow, tore off the paper, opened the box. Inside was a USB drive and a note card. He picked up the card first, read it out loud. I made sure he'd read it out loud. It said, "The ashes you wanted, now they're on your hands." Mandy looked confused. What does that mean? I didn't say nothing, just sat there, waiting. Aaron picked up the USB drive, turned it over in his hand. "Ma, what is this?" I said, real calm. "Plug it in and see." He looked at Mandy. She looked at him. They were nervous now. I could see it. But they couldn't not look. Curiosity and fear, baby. Dangerous combination. Aaron got his laptop, plugged in the drive, and one by one, the folders appeared on the screen. Bank statements, recordings, forged documents, forensic report, legal complaints. 37 files total, every transaction, every conversation, every lie, every theft, all organized, all dated, all labeled. Ah. Aaron's face went white, and I mean white like a sheet, like he'd seen a ghost. Mandy grabbed the laptop, started clicking through the folders. Her hands were shaking. This is, she stammered. "Evidence," I said. Simple as that. Evidence of elder financial abuse, fraud, forgery, theft.
And they knew right then, they knew they were caught?
Oh, they knew. Aaron tried to talk. "Ma, we can explain." I held up my hand. "You don't need to explain nothing to me. You need to explain it to the IRS and the bank and Adult Protective Services and the District Attorney's Office. Mandy's voice got high and panicky. "You sent this to the authorities?" I nodded. "Copies went out last week, certified mail. They probably already opened their investigation." The room went silent. You could hear the clock ticking on the wall. Then Aaron stood up, started pacing. "This isn't fair. We were helping you. We took you in. We gave you a place to live. In a room with no windows," I said, calm, steady, "with my own money that you stole. We didn't steal." $148,422, I said. "That's how much the forensic accountant traced, from my accounts to yours, without my authorization. That's called theft, baby. And when you do it to someone over 65, that's elder abuse. That's a felony. Mandy started crying. "We didn't mean, we were going to pay you back." "With what?" I asked. "The house you mortgaged with my money, the business you started with my money, the lifestyle you've been living with my money?" She didn't have an answer for that.
So what happened next? They just sat there?
They sat there for about 10 minutes, stunned, scared. Then Aaron tried one more time. "Ma, please, we're family. We can work this out. Don't let this go any further." And I looked at my son, my only child, the boy I raised by myself after his daddy died. And I said, "You stopped being my family the day you wished I was dead. Now you just two thieves who happen to share my last name." Then I stood up, picked up my purse. "Oh, and one more thing," I said. "I got a meeting at 2 o'clock today, at Sandra DeLeon's law office downtown. Y'all are invited. Well, required, actually. The mortgage company's gonna be there too. Thought y'all might want to hear what they have to say about your loan." And I walked out, left them sitting there with that USB drive and all their crimes on display.
Mrs. Dorothy, I don't even have words. What happened at that meeting?
That meeting at Sandra's office? Baby, that was beautiful. They showed up at 1:45, early, probably thought they could get there first and try to explain things, make me look confused or senile or whatever story they'd cooked up. But when they walked into that conference room, they saw they weren't dealing with just me and a lawyer. Sandra was there, yes, but so was Robert Chen, the forensic accountant, and a representative from the mortgage company, and a woman from Adult Protective Services, and a notary public. The whole table was lined with professionals. Aaron's face. Lord, I wish I had a picture of his face. Sandra stood up, shook their hands real professional. Mr. and Mrs. West, thank you for coming. Please, sit down. They sat. Mandy was gripping her purse like it was a life preserver. Sandra didn't waste time. She opened her laptop, pulled up the USB files on the big screen and said, "We're here today to review evidence of financial exploitation and to discuss next steps." Assistant. Then she went through it. Everything. Robert Chen presented his report, showed every transfer, every withdrawal, every renovation expense that never resulted in any actual renovation. He had spreadsheets, timelines, bank records. He said, of the $150,000 Mrs. Jenkins provided, only $11,400 can be accounted for in legitimate home improvements. The remaining $138,600 was transferred to personal accounts and used for non-disclosed purposes. Mandy tried to interrupt. We were going to... Sandra held up her hand. Please don't speak. You'll have time to respond. Through your attorney, which I suggest you retain immediately.
Oh, she shut that down quick.
Shut it down. Then the mortgage broker spoke up. He said, Mr. West, it has come to our attention that the funds used for your down payment and renovation loan were obtained through potentially fraudulent means. As of this morning, your mortgage has been frozen pending investigation. Aaron's eyes went wide. Frozen? What does that mean? It means you can't refinance, you can't sell, you can't access the equity, and if the investigation determines fraud, the loan will be called in full. You'll have 30 days to pay the entire balance or face foreclosure. Mandy made this little choking sound, like she couldn't breathe. Then the woman from Adult Protective Services spoke. Mr. and Mrs. West, a formal complaint has been filed alleging financial abuse of a vulnerable adult. This case has been forwarded to the district attorney's office. You should expect contact from law enforcement within the next 2 weeks. Aaron stood up. His voice was shaking. This is insane. She's my mother. I was helping her. Sandra cut him off. By forging her signature? By transferring her money without authorization? By isolating her in a room with no windows while you spent her savings? She slid a stack of documents across the table. These are bank records showing your signatures on withdrawal slips for Mrs. Jenkins' accounts. Except Mrs. Jenkins wasn't present for any of these transactions, and the handwriting analysis confirms these aren't her signatures.
They forged your signature?
Multiple times, on withdrawal slips, on transfer authorizations. Robert even found one on a document trying to add Mandy's name to my savings account as a co-owner. I never signed none of that. Sandra kept going. She was relentless. Furthermore, Mrs. West, your business, Mandy Wellness, LLC, has been reported to the IRS for unreported income. Our records show you received $47,000 in startup capital from Mrs. Jenkins's accounts, none of which you reported as taxable income or loans. Mandy's face went from white to green. Then Sandra handed them each a folder. These are copies of the legal actions we're filing. Restraining order, asset freeze, wage garnishment to repay Mrs. Jenkins the full amount of $148,422 plus interest, and a cease and desist order preventing either of you from contacting Mrs. Jenkins outside of supervised legal proceedings. Aaron looked at me for the first time since the meeting started. His eyes were wet. Ma, please, I'm your son. And I looked right back at him and said, my son died the day he wished I was in an urn. You just somebody who stole from me.
Oh my God, what did he say?
He didn't say nothing, just put his head in his hands. The notary stood up. Mrs. Jenkins, if you're ready, We can finalize the documents now." I nodded. Right there, in front of Aaron and Mandy, I signed papers revoking Aaron's power of attorney. I signed papers closing the joint account. I signed papers removing them both from my will. Every signature I made sure they could see. When it was done, Sandra stood up. "This meeting is concluded. Mr. and Mrs. West will be in touch through your legal representation. Mrs. Jenkins, you're free to go." I stood up, picked up my purse, looked at both of them one last time, and I walked out of that office a free woman.
Mrs. Dorothy, how did it feel?
How did it feel? Baby, it felt like I could breathe again. For the first time in months, I wasn't small, I wasn't invisible, I wasn't that confused old lady they wanted me to be. I was Dorothy Jenkins, fraud investigator, survivor, woman who don't play. I walked out of that office, got in Sandra's car, and we drove to my new apartment.
You had already found a place?
Oh, yes. Sandra helped me find a little one-bedroom in Brookhaven, ground floor, big windows with sunlight pouring in all day long, my own kitchen, my own space. I moved in that same week. Didn't take much. Most of my stuff was still in storage from when I sold my house. But I didn't care about furniture or decorations. I cared about freedom. I could wake up when I wanted, eat what I wanted, open my curtains and feel the sun on my face. Nobody treating me like I was in the way. Nobody wishing I was dead. Just me and peace.
And what happened to Aaron and Mandy? Did they face consequences?
Oh, they faced them all right. 3 days after that meeting, the IRS opened a formal investigation into Mandy's business. Turns out when you use somebody else's money to fund your LLC and don't report it, the government gets real interested. Her little wellness coaching brand collapsed. All her Instagram sponsors dropped her. Partnerships canceled. She went from posting motivational quotes every day to going completely silent online. Aaron's real estate license application? Denied. Pending resolution of legal and ethical violations. He'd been trying to break into commercial real estate, make big money. Now he can't even get licensed. And the house? The one they bought with my money? The bank called in the loan. They had 60 days to pay the full balance or face foreclosure. They couldn't pay. Last I heard, they sold it at a loss and moved into a rental apartment, downgraded their whole life.
Good. I'm sorry, but good.
I ain't sorry at all. They earned every bit of that. But the best part? The part that really made it worth it? The wage garnishment. See, the court ordered that a portion of both their paychecks, every single month, goes directly into an account in my name until they pay back that $148,422, plus interest. So every 2 weeks, when they get paid, they gon' see a deduction, and they gon' see my name on that transfer for years. Every time they look at their pay stub, they gon' remember, you can't steal from Dorothy Jenkins and get away with it.
Mrs. Dorothy, that is justice, but I have to ask, what about your grandkids? Do you still have a relationship with them?
I do. See, I didn't punish them for what their parents did. That wouldn't be right. I set up a trust fund for both of them. Can't be touched by Aaron or Mandy. It's managed by a third party, and when those babies turn 21, they'll have money for college, for a house, for whatever they need. I see them sometimes, supervised visits, through my lawyer. They don't understand everything that happened, and that's okay. One day, when they're older, they'll know their grandmother loved them enough to protect them and herself.
You are incredible. Before we close, what would you say to any woman out there, any person out there who might be going through something similar? Somebody who feels trapped, invisible, taken advantage of by family?
I'd say this, and I want you to hear me good. You are not crazy. You are not too old. You are not too weak. And you are not helpless. If somebody treating you like you don't matter, like you in the way, like your only value is what they can take from you, that ain't love. That's abuse. And you don't owe abusers nothing, not loyalty, not silence, not forgiveness. Document everything. Find your Sandra. Find somebody who believes you and knows the law. Build your case quietly. And when you're ready, burn it down. Not with violence, not with anger, with proof, with paperwork, with the truth. They wanted my ashes? I gave them smoke, and I walked out of that fire untouched. You can too.
Mrs. Dorothy Jenkins, everybody, a warrior, a survivor, a woman who said, "No more silent," and meant it. If this story helped you, share it. If you know somebody who needs to hear it, send it to them. And remember, you are never too old, too tired, or too broken to take your life back. We'll see you next time. Until then, keep speaking, keep fighting, keep surviving.